Having shot over 400 yards a fortnight ago, I had another go on Sunday, but the bow was nowhere near the same performance. Best I made was 383, and it wasn't just down to the total lack of tailwind. I got home and put it on the tiller, and the draw weight had dropped from what was about 53 down to 45. So the limbs are getting a bit tired, but bear in mind these were remade from an old 35-pound flight bow anyway, so they've had a good and useful life. But what I can do is take them down in draw weight and use perhaps my son can get a bit further, and he shot 252 with them but wasn't getting full draw, so yeah, I can work them down and have a bit of fun. But I thought I'll make some new limbs. Now I had a pair of billets which were not the best in the world, and started cutting them down, and as is often the case, you find that what you think was the best billet isn't. Like here there's the centre pith, and there's some signs of cracking and knots, and a couple of knots coming through on what would be the back of the bow, which would have the bamboo over it, so that wouldn't be so important. But this little knot here and these longitudinal cracks I'm not very happy with. So that one will probably not get used, or get used to something else, or maybe a facing put on the belly from, say, this offcut, because the other billet, despite having some knots, turned out to be superb, because as I worked it down I managed to get rid of the knots, and you can see it's a glorious piece of timber. So it begs the question, I've got one lovely limb but I haven't got two. Well, do I face the dodgy limb with this nice piece, but then that makes it awkward if I'm heat treating, or do I get this to an even thickness, heat treat it, then glue it up on that, then glue it up with the bamboo back in? It all gets a bit tortuous, so I thought I'll look through my wood and see if I've got another potential piece of yew without sacrificing yew that would otherwise make a really nice bow. I've got a couple of bits that would do for nice primitives, but I found this. It's too short to do much with, and it just comes up to my rib cage. I don't know what that is in imperial or metric, but it might be good enough. I might find a straight section down this end without too many knots, although there are knots everywhere. I've got to be careful, so it might be worth exploring it. But she's just been out 5 minutes ago, then come in the back door and gone round again. That's what I do. Ah, scritch, scritch, scratch, scratch. Out you go. Oh, thank you very much. Right, that stave was 50 inches long, so I've given it a trimming. I've taken off the sapwood, not quite got it all off, but I was trying to maximise the heartwood I've got. There, I've kept the sapwood strip. You never know when that might come in handy for backing a crossbow or whatever. You can always throw it away later. So that's notionally the back. It needs a bit more cleaning up. Then I trimmed the sides to give me a long piece approximately the right width, taking it close to this knot which has almost disappeared. So I used my handy bit of alley, which is just a little bit, a whisker wider than the limb needs to be. I just laid that on there and marked down it with a pencil. But you can see now that back doesn't look too bad, and I can see I can see what I've got available. It would have been a mistake to saw it to length first, like, you know, if I'd said, oh well, I'll have the limb out of this piece, I may have found a knot, or if out of that piece it's not long enough to make two limbs, but if I trim it down by degrees, hopefully I can find the cleanest, nicest section. Because if I'm going to try and make a flight bow to get to the 1/4 mile, then obviously I need the limbs as good as possible. I was surprised how well these old ones did actually, and there's no real sign of them degrading, but when you look at the slow-mo, I mean, they really wobble and they bend the wrong way, and there's a lot of energy going into them. The glue line seems alright. So anyway, that's where I've got to so far. A bit more judicious trimming, like, you know, straighten up this line here to give me a better reference point, and I can sort of see how deep this knot goes. So I'll probably take the limb out, make my limb come this way. That knot won't be in the picture at all. I think that's going to be a cleaner piece, and this is undulation, that's not too bad. Similarly there, if I sort of lay it out with a tiny bit of reflex. Anyway, I'm back to doing stuff. Bye bye.